How's it, guys? The wind's come up a little bit. It's Saturday morning, give or take 10 a.m. and I just quickly come to check up on the cattle. I didn't see them yesterday. Make sure they're all here, make sure they're all healthy. And while I'm here, I'm just checking for ticks. It's easy just quickly to do a drive-by, have a quick look and count them and say, okay, fine, you're done. But it's good to spend time with them. So while I'm standing here, I've noticed that there's not a lot of ticks on these animals. Even the Brahman crosses or the Simbras. They're not exactly Simbras, they're not exactly Brahman, there's somewhere in between. And they've been here for more than a month, so it's a good time to check now to see what they're looking like, because if we were going to dip them for ticks, August is usually the month to do it. But I don't want to make use of, I'm just going to zoom in there. Alright, so I don't want to make use of unnecessary pesticides and things like that. We want to farm regeneratively, and pesticides kill off all types of beneficial insects. So like your dung beetles, for example, that are actually quite crucial in improving your soil health. So the calves are looking good. The cows are looking good. There's a little bit of ticks on the cows, not a lot. But they must have some ticks in any case. We don't want them to have absolutely no ticks. If there's a constant but light tick load, then it keeps their immunity good and the immunity strong. Now, just while I'm on this, I actually learned something in the week that I didn't know about. And I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I look at a lot of other channels. I'm forever studying the breeds, because you never know it all and you often forget a lot. But just have a look at the length of this cow's tail. The length of her tail. And if you look at that, you compare it, if you have British breeds, compare it to your British breeds that you have on your property. This cow has a long tail, and more importantly, or just as important, a thin tail. Okay, she has a little bit of ticks over there, it seems. Just want to zoom in and see. It looks a little bit more like skin pigmentation rather than ticks. But in any case, so she's got a long thin tail, and that means that she can swat away flies and ticks that are crawling on her more effectively than an animal with a short tail. Now if you look at these calves over here, remember they Brahman Simbra crosses. The Simbra is a British breed, well, not a British breed necessarily, a European breed. Already you can see they've got thicker tails, especially at the tail base, and the tails are shorter. Now you're going to say, Shane, but that's not so short. It's true. And they might lengthen a little bit. But your indigenous African breeds have long tails. If I can come around here and look at Fred, you'll see what I mean. His tail hangs about an inch off the ground, give or take. You have a look there. His tail is actually very close to the ground. So that means that they can swat away flies. If ticks are crawling on them, they can swat them off. Another interesting thing I learned is that these animals groom each other. So the African breeds have learned to groom each other. Now Fred had 3 or 4 ticks on his ribs, similar to this cow over here, and I'm just going to zoom in quickly. Saw that grey speck, that was the tick. Fred had a couple of them on his side, or on his ribs and flank, and they're gone. So whether he reached over and groomed himself, and whether one of these cows groomed him, I don't know. But those ticks are gone. Another interesting thing, just for what it's worth, while the African breeds are sleek, I find it quite interesting. This cow's a little hairy on her neck, just as Fred is. See there? She's a little bit fuzzy on her shoulder and on her neck. Whereas this cow over here, that's not a pure Thule, she's the sleekest of them all. And even Fred's a little fuzzy on his shoulder and on his neck. I'll zoom in. Now, to my mind, the way I have it, Tulis are supposed to be more or less hairy than that. I'm not quite sure why he has that, but he's a purebred Tuli. He comes from a stud farm. So I'm not sure that's going to be a problem going forward or not. But yes, it's just ironic. The pure Tulis are slightly more hairy than the crossed Tuli that has some heterosis in. Looking at the bull calf, he's looking beautiful. No ticks on him. He's becoming quite tame. He's got nice eye muscling. And just another bit of useless information maybe. Apparently the Tuli has the biggest eye muscle to bone ratio of all breeds in the world. Something I saw yesterday as well. Now guys, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I'm forever watching other channels, people like myself. I listen to what they say. I compare their views to mine. I'm forever looking and testing my own beliefs and testing my own knowledge. Sometimes you think you've got a fact down perfectly right, and later on you find out, well, it's not quite true. So I watch a lot of other channels and I see what the guys do there. And yeah, it's where I get a lot of my information from. I've lost my train of thought. That helps. Anyway, let's come back to the heifers for now. So the heifers are looking very good. The one or two animals that are a little bit thinner, maybe weaned a little bit smaller, are the ones that seem to have ticks on, but for the rest they're clean. They're clean. And that's a good sign. Remember, we've got game on this farm. We've got springbuck and bessbuck. They've never been dipped. So without a doubt they carry ticks. And this farm has pieces of it has burnt down, but never all of it. So there's always a reservoir where ticks, you know, can cling to the grass stalks and stay behind and get picked up by cattle. So I'm very happy. I'm happy with the way they look. I'm happy with their condition. This cow should be calving in the next month. She's fairly hormonal at the moment, fighting with all the others. But she's a beautiful cow, and of the two, I think she's the more feminine one as well. Now, just on that, another reason you don't want a cow that's too masculine is when she's heavy in the neck and in the shoulders, she's less flexible. So I just said now the cows groom each other, but they also groom themselves. So the more masculine she is, the less able she is to reach far back. It's just a stupid little practical point, but it makes a difference. There we are. I don't know if you saw it. On her shoulder, this is another thing that I've never seen on European breeds. And guys, if you see it on your animals, please let me know. Please correct me. But apparently, the indigenous African breeds are the only ones that can basically, or that have little muscles under their skin, similar to a horse. If a fly lands on a horse, you'll see the skin kind of like shivers. It's a way of chasing the fly away. So these animals have that ability, and that cow just did it just now when I spoke. I don't know if you saw it on camera. I was not prepared for it, so I didn't zoom in to show you guys. So that's just another way. If a tick walks there or a fly lands on that spot, those little muscles contract, the skin gives out a shake or a shiver, and it kind of, in some cases, can dislodge the ticks, or the flies just fly off. These are stupid little things, but they all add up at the end of the day. I just want to have a look at this calf. Guys, just have a look there. He's still too small. His testosterone hasn't kicked in yet. It's probably going to be another 7, 8, 9 months before anything of that starts happening. But he's a solid little calf. He's not big. He's not big by any means. But he's nice and fat. He's well conditioned. And that just tells me his mother's got good milk. Now she's lost a little bit of condition. A little bit, not much. But the grass will start turning green soon. We're in August. It's slowly heating up. So I expect within the next 4 to 6 weeks we'll have some green shoots coming through. And then their condition will improve, or start improving as well. Now, I always talk about gutful, and I always will. Look at that belly. See that as a petrol tank or a fuel tank. The bigger the tank, the more you can put inside. And the poorer your grazing, the more grass you need in order for them to thrive and survive. So you need an animal with a big gut. So there we are. You can see she's calved, so there's her calf. So that is all grass. That is all grass. So she's got good gut capacity. The heifers, on the other hand, not as much. They're in a growing phase, so they should be like teenagers and be eating a lot at this point in time. But that's something we're going to breed into them in any case. We won't be doing ultra high density grazing immediately. Not as high as some guys do it in any case. So this point in time, they're just calf factories. And despite the fact that they look so tame, they're also chosen because they're fairly wild. The moment you try and gather them and move them, they split in 300 different directions and run away from you. So don't let their current demeanor fool you. There's a reason why I went this way. I could have easily started off with more indigenous animals, but they could have been stolen by now if I'd taken calmer animals. So these are things we sometimes have to do. It doesn't matter. It's part of the plan. But anyway, guys, so that's it. I just thought I'd share that with you guys quickly. Checking out the ticks. Cows look good. This cow has a bit of a white eye, it would appear. I'm not quite sure whether she's a little bit blind in that eye or not. But the fact that they're so calm at this point in time and not really grazing aggressively tells me they've filled their guts. Another interesting thing, just quickly now that I think of it, they only drink water once a day. They're currently grazing selectively because there's no growth. So I want them to get the maximum benefit of what's available. And they can drink water as and when they wish, and they do that once a day. So that's going to be important going forward. I still have a lot to do on my infrastructure. It's going to take time and cash. So initially they won't be spoiled for choice. There's not a lot of drinkers all over the farm yet. So when I start putting up or dividing the farm into paddocks, I'm not going to have water in every camp either. Now I understand in the summer they'll probably want to drink a little bit more often. But if they've taught themselves to drink once a day at this point in time, it's just going to make it a lot easier for me going forward until such a time as I've got all my infrastructure in place as I want it. So yeah, guys, that's it. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover for today. Hope you guys have a good Saturday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it. Be blessed and have a good weekend. Cheers.